welcome back to the class, everyone. Despite being in the game for well over 3 years now, Relic 9 continues to be one of the most expensive upgrades, between droid brains being few and far between in events, as well as signal data still being required for every other Relic level. We have to be really careful who we apply Relic 9 to. So what I want to do in today's video is take a look into my roster at each one of the Relic 9s I've applied, and explain why they were deemed worthy. So when it comes to this video being an overall guide, I'm not intending for this to be a, hey, go Relic 9 all 20 of these characters. What I'm intending for this to be is to look at the principles behind why I chose to Relic 9 these characters, so that you today or in the future, when you're deciding who to Relic, can kind of use the same exact principles. And we kind of had them labeled out here. So the first principle that I really want to hone in on for applying Relic 9s is when they are requirements for something even bigger and better. So in this category, you can see that we have all three Ahsoka Tano's in here, and the reason being is they're all required at Relic 9 for Galactic Legend Ahsoka Tano, who I do not necessarily have yet, but I'm currently working towards. And I will say, it is very nice for these three characters, maybe kind for these three characters, to be the ones needed at Relic 9. I've actually applied it to them months in advance of being able to unlock Galactic Legend Ahsoka Tano because of the marquees, specifically because they actually utilize these relics really well. If you look at Fulcrum as a damage dealer, which she is, whether you have her on the Seer team or with her Datacron on another team right now, she really utilizes all that mastery very well with critical chance, critical damage, and overall offense. Ahsoka Tano is a really well-rounded character that can be used on a lot of teams, primarily JMK. I also do really like that her ship gets a nice boost. It's been not exactly perfect, but I've been using it occasionally as a Leviathan counter where she can actually go in and immediately remove the taunt from the tank so that we can go right in after TIE Dagger with Negotiator. So again, not necessarily a wasted relic, even outside of the requirement aspect. And then Commander Ahsoka Tano is just a really great character who will give mastery to JMK with Shen due to JMK's overall abilities. So yes, they're required for Galactic Legend Ahsoka Tano, but I've actually brought them to Relic 9 in advance, even though I'm not necessarily able to unlock her right now, because they are just that good. So in a very, very similar vein, we have Relic 9 for Admiral Raddus and the Sith Empire Darth Revan and Darth Malak. For the exact reason before, except for instead of Galactic Legend Ahsoka Tano, we have Profundity as well as Leviathan, who are kind of considered Galactic Legend ships, despite that title not actually being official. I will say, I think people underestimate Adrad as a Relic 9. Obviously, we all kind of do it for Profundity, but at the same time, his giant damage-dealing move, Hope, I think we would all find out the hard way if he was only required at, say, Relic 3 or Relic 5, how underwhelming this ability is without all of the offense that is going to accumulate once it gets all the way up to Relic 9. And I say that because I, for the longest time, was running a non-offensive modded Adrad, and he really struggled to kill things that he probably should be killing, like Iden and DTMG. So I just kind of imagined my scenario without the correct offense modding was probably very similar to an R3 or an R5 Adrad. So overall, still kind of a good bang for my buck, even with Profundity aside, but obviously required for Profundity. And then the very same things can be said about Darth Revan and Darth Malak. Whether you're using Darth Revan's lead or under Darth Malak's lead, they both kind of do incredible things. Darth Malak is a tank that actually converts his protection into health, so the nice protection boost that he gets from being a tank at Relic 9 is even better. And the Darth Revan, you really do want him to survive, although I will admit he still is pretty frail, even all the way at Relic 9. But again, at the end of the day, he's a requirement for the Leviathan. And even if he wasn't required at Relic 9, if there was a speed boost between Relic 8 and Relic 9, we would all do it anyways so that we wouldn't have to deal with the coin flip, or at least pressure our opponent into having to deal with the same coin flip we do. Now, next up, I want to talk a little bit about Assault Battle characters. These characters really aren't genuinely required at Relic 9 to unlock another character. That being said, both Padawan Obi-Wan and Master Qui-Gon have their specific Assault Battle, as well as the top 3 zombie boys all also have their specific Assault Battle. And while these characters within themselves are good, specifically, Obi-Wan and Master Qui-Gon's raid viability actually goes a really long way. I love the assault battle ROI for this. So shout out to our good friend Egnards, who made this Reddit post quite a while ago, around when the time that Padawan, Obi-Wan, as well as Master Qui-Gon's assault battle came out, and he actually ran the math on how long it would take you to get into a positive ROI. And I think this is really important, even though that some of these numbers aren't the best to look at, like 6 years for rhodium heat sinks. Just so that we can get a general idea of when this actually is. Is it 20 years? Is it 1 year? And some of these are actually really positive, especially for some of the more expensive items we talked about, like droid brains. So essentially within a year, year 0.2, you are going to make back the amount of droid brains that you put into it, which is really nice because, again, as we said at the very beginning of the video, they're really hard to come by. I guess that is on average, so it might not be guaranteed for each player. And 1 year might seem like a really long time, but in Galaxy of Hero terms, I mean, I've been playing this game for, I think, over 6 years now, so I will come up on that threshold really soon. And then, like we said earlier, it's not like this is the only thing that Padawan, Obi-Wan, and Master Qui-Gon are used for. They're used for a plethora of other things, so this being on top is really just a really nice chair. I will link this as well in the description if anyone wants to kind of look through the data to understand what that overall means. Now, in a same vein, not quite as good, Captain Enoch, Night Trooper, and Death Trooper will also provide a slightly worse ROI because you have to take another character up to the top. But at the same time, similar to Padawan, Obi-Wan, and Master Qui-Gon, there are other valid reasons to get them at least close to that Relic level, being that they are required for Galactic Legend Ahsoka Tano at Relic 7. I will say I really do like them as characters. I wouldn't Relic 9 them for this reason, but having them at Relic 9 to be able to put the last two onto a Great Mother's team has been really awesome, and then as well as Captain Enoch is a pretty good addition to the DTMG squad, especially since a lot of the other Imperial remnants are being stolen by other squads. So overall, all about that AB ROI, but at the same time, characters really aren't just useless in other game modes. Next up, another principle between or why we should Relic 9 characters comes down to Jedi Master Luke, and it all boils down to it fits perfectly with this kit. He utilizes Relic 9 in 4 ways, whereas some characters might only utilize it in 1. When we look at his overall kit, not only is it a Galactic Legend, so he's going to take that really random whatever Relic level it is, and is going to convert it into 10% max health and max protection. And then on top of that, he actually gets another boost to protection outside of the Relic 9 for other characters because he's a tank. And then not only is he going to get that and be able to tank with it, but one of the biggest parts of Jedi Master Luke's lead is the fact that he's going to be dealing true damage based off of his base max protection, which is affected, of course, by relic levels and then later amplified by mods. So 60%. So you really start doing some stupid amounts of damage when you have this. And if you want to make it even worse with Datacrons, you can honestly just one-shot characters some of the time. One of my favorite things to do with him at Relic 9 in a Datacron is to go against a raid team and then just completely bypass damage immunity on the raid team because you just one-shot Resistance Hero Finn or Poe or whoever is on the team. So overall, just combines with this kit super well, and a Galactic Legend who wants to tank definitely wants to be able to use the tankiness even more. I have Leia listed here as well. As you can see, I actually don't have her at Relic 9, but I want to. As soon as I'm done doing everything that I need to do with Galactic Legend Ahsoka Tano, I really want to come back here and do this for her. She doesn't utilize the protection as well, but honestly, the upgrade in health alone might be worth it. I had someone comment on one of my videos recently talking about how my Leia could be modded so much better, and they listed their stats to kind of compare, and I went and like ran some trial runs even with my best health mods, and I was like, dude, I can't even get close to what you have. And I'm like, do you have her at Relic 9? It's like, oh yeah, I have her at Relic 9. And part of the reason why I can't even get close to his health is despite the fact that I have all health primaries and health sets, it's because I'm missing that last relic level. And that's not even taking into consideration this. And then Leia really just has great overall synergy with having more health. Her leadership will boost it whenever anyone doesn't deem her worthy and ignores her, and she continues to stack it, and then she'll actually use it against the enemies because she deals true damage based off her max health later on. So overall, just loves to synergize with it. Her kit is going to utilize all those relic levels really well. For similar reasons for Jedi Master Luke, she wants to tank, but then she also uses that same resource for damage. So again, not a Relic 9 for me, but definitely on the list. Next up is, I guess, our third reason, or our fourth reason now, and it's just for pure fun. I have Supreme Leader Kylo Ren at Relic 9. He's not, like, my favorite character from a lore perspective, but at the same time, my goodness, he is fun to play with. And again, his kit doesn't really genuinely benefit as much as Leia or Luke for Relic 9. Honestly, Leia would be a better Relic 9 than SLKR, but I enjoy using him on offense. I like it when he survives a Rey ultimate ability from full health and full protection. So it's just a lot of fun to do. It's not necessarily the best bang for your buck. He does benefit from it in some ways, like we talked about with the Galactic Legend unique, but at the same time, it's mostly for me and less for him. Bane is probably another good candidate for this. Character genuinely doesn't need Relic 9 to do most things, but at the same time, man, it's really fun to play with him, even if you're only increasing him very marginally in his overall damage and survivability. So not the best economical, ideal reason for Relic 9, but at the same time, you gotta do some things for fun every once in a while. And in a very similar vein, we have For Love. So I talked about Supreme Leader Kylo Ren not necessarily being my favorite character from a lore perspective and more from a mechanic perspective in game. I just love Gungans. I mean, I'm not going to spend like 5 minutes talking about why TPM impacted me as a child, but it did. And it left an impression on me. And it's really nice giving kind of to characters that I felt like have had an impact on me something to work with. And not to mention, I mean, there actually is a little bit of return here. They are needed in the raid, and they actually do get a benefit between Relic 8 and Relic 9, being able to go for that next tier. And they're also one of the easiest raid teams to utilize there. I guess they also utilize protection really well, given the whole shield generator mechanics. And then as I guess one final thing, if you do have this Omicron for Jar Jar, he does get extra stacks for every 3 Relic amplifiers. So you can divide 9 by 3, so you know, you do get an extra bonus from Relic 8 to Relic 9 on Jar Jar. But ultimately, I didn't do this for raid viability. There was an easier way to get max box in raid without having to Relic 9 Gungans, but I did because I love them, and they're really cool. And last but not least is actually just going to be characters that I did specifically because of the raid. I'd already brought Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan up to Relic 9 due to the Assault Battle. We already kind of addressed the ROI on that. And it didn't really make a lot of sense to just leave them on the R8 tier when all I had to do was take up these 2 characters. And honestly, R2-D2 almost fits into the mold we talked about because the kit told me to, similar to Leia and JML. He doesn't have, obviously, the nice Galactic Legend boost, but at the same time, characters that get boosts to their stats and then give them back out, giving them as much as they can to deal with and then hash back out to the rest of the team, that seems pretty cool. So again, I didn't do it for that reason. I did it for the raid, but at the same time, that is a nice boost. So overall, that's our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7-ish principles behind my 20 Relic 9 characters. So let me know what you think. Let me know what characters you have that you Relic 9 for these reasons or others. But until the next time, thanks for watching and stay awesome.